All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's April 4th. After spending a good morning doing a lot of research, considering a lot of things out there, and thinking about the last near month of things going on in relation to this virus and what have you, I guess I'm considered like an essential business because I do air conditioning, and I've been out working. I get calls. Of course, I'm in the state of Florida. People can't go without their air conditioning in the state of Florida, especially the elderly. This shutdown that's happening nationally, we have the president shut us down, and then the governor here in Florida has everybody shut down. And I'm noticing that a lot of people aren't saying much in relation to businesses, or even people who work for businesses who've been sitting home now for several weeks or more since the shutdown. And they're not saying nothing because they're isolated. Everybody's at home, nobody's in groups. But individually, while I'm out and about, I'm seeing people and I'm hearing from people exactly what they're thinking. And I cover 3 counties, and I've been speaking with a lot of people online, and as well calling people pretty much around the country I know in different states and what have you, talking with them on the phone, and getting their view of what they're seeing. And some of them are essential, and they're out and about, and they're hearing the same thing. So it's not something isolated just to my area of what I'm viewing. I'm realizing it's something that's pretty much broad across the nation, and everyone's feeling it. There's like a time bomb about ready to go off with small business owners, and as well people who are in fear that their job might not be there when this thing lifts off. And considering the effects of what's going on with it, and watching it, and listening to the news and the so-called experts and our president, I support Donald Trump. That's pretty evident. Everybody knows that. I think in this field that Donald Trump is being very, very cautious, because it's not something of his, I guess you could say, field of expertise. He's a businessman. He's not a medical doctor. He's not known to be somebody very versed in science and what have you. But from a basic standpoint of common sense, listening to other people who are in the science world, and what's been going on, and recent things that have come about, those are some of the things I want to consider. And as well, I want to raise some issues that I think the president needs to consider, and I hope maybe he'll take a listen to those things. So we're going to transition over to and take a listen to some of these things. I seen this morning on Donald Trump's page. He said that I will immediately ask Congress for more money to support small business under the PPP loan if the allocated money runs out. So far, way ahead of schedule. Bank of America and community banks are rocking. And, I would like to say to the president that all sounds real good. That really does. It sounds real good. The only problem is with real life and real business, it seems, and I'm not trying to be obnoxious with you, it seems though, and you have forgotten small business and what it's like. And dealing and talking with people I know that I've been dealing with since the shutdown, people who own delis, small restaurants, small pizzerias, small mom pop shops, okay, they have rent due on their shopping malls. Not only do they have rent due, some of them had outlay, net 30 on inventory, materials, things they had to order. They have bills coming in for anywhere from 7, 10, 15,000 for the month of this shutdown. They have utilities due. They have house bills due. The little $1,200 to $3,400 stimulus that you're giving them of their own money back, because it's taxpayers' money. I noticed you said you're going to ask Congress for this money, and really in truth, what you're doing is you're coming to ask us for that money. The place where Congress goes to get that money is the taxpayer. And right now, with the taxpayers out of work, where is Congress going to get that money to give to you that you're asking for? That's the thing I think you need to consider. With America not working, where is Congress going to get the money you're asking for? Okay, you shut down the nation. Now, I understand you have a great concern for the people and you don't want to see people dying. But realistically, in the last month, we've witnessed, and this has been going on since January, actually even before, back to November of last year, we've known about this, because in December you issued the shutdown on the travel ban, so you knew about this and were aware. So, I mean, and when we look at the time span of that there up to this date right now, and we ask ourselves, what is happening? Is the fatalities as bad? Is this as bad as what we were expecting? It doesn't seem to be. Okay? One, the statistics, which I'm going to show up here on the screen, show that the major majority of people who are suffering to the extreme of death are on the ages of between 65 and older. It's mostly older people. As well, a large percentage of those people, from what the studies now are showing and coming out are showing, they had other complications. And we're not even sure if the numbers are correct, that all of the ones being reported to say that have passed or deceased now have died from coronavirus. It just seems that there's now, as well as pandemic going on with people, for everybody who dies right away, they want to label it coronavirus because they want to get that money, that big stimulus package that you passed of the like $2.4 trillion, of which even with that, I just got to say, you know, in looking at that package here, as you can see, the states, and when I look at this, I realize, you know, with this shutdown, there's an absence of huge money from sales tax, you know, huge money from different taxation, fuel tax, and things like such like that, that the state and county is not going to be getting because of the slow in travel to the shutdown and what have you. And as well, prior to even with that, you know, I don't know if there was anything affecting anything, but obviously too, in considering the Obamacare and that you terminated Obamacare, it's pretty clear that the medical industry, had Hillary Clinton won and Obamacare was still standing, they were positioned to make trillions of dollars over the next 4 years off of Obamacare through the insurance agencies and well the medical industries, who would have been charging those insurance companies literally trillions of dollars for the services they would have been giving people on the backs of the people who were paying outrageous rates for that insurance. Being you remove that, it's pretty clear that the medical industry in this sector, although I know a lot of people want to consider these people moral, valuable, honorable people, they're not. In realistic, I mean in the real world, I think we know that it appears the majority since the 1960s of the medical industry has started to lean left since Medicaid programs came into act back in that time. Prior to the 1960s, if we were to look at history, we would find that the majority of doctors and medical institutions and such like that in science more or less leaned right. They were Republican until healthcare and science became something of like a government-controlled aspect, and then all of a sudden greed started to motivate, and everybody wanted to grab as much of that government money as they could get, and this was a way that the government was able to seize control of these sectors. That sector now favors the government that was the ones who implemented these programs. That would have been the Democrats. And it appears that some of the people who are guiding and advising you as well are old administration people that a lot of people are questioning. I'm letting you know this is not just my only opinion. This is literally from hundreds of people I've spoken to in the last several weeks. And I'm getting the opinion of many different people. And everybody's a little bit scared about what's going on. And we understand your concern that you don't want to see Americans die and that you're very concerned. But, you know, also in looking at some of the things that are going on, we realize that, you know, you mentioned some things that now it appears that those things may be accurate. Let's take a quick listen here to what we have going here.
It's day 74 of the coronavirus pandemic in America, and we've been closely following the trials of a promising drug combination that treat the virus, hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, commonly known as Z-Pak.
I just want to pause for a minute and let you know this is something that just came out this morning. So I just want everybody to understand this just came out this morning with Dr. Oz.
The FDA has just given emergency approval to use hydroxychloroquine to treat COVID-19, and 30 million tablets have been donated to our country's stockpile. And we told you about an early draft of a randomized clinical trial out of China, showing improvements in a small group of patients. It provides a glimmer of hope. But how is it doing in practice? Today, a doctor shares his new experience of how COVID-19 patients are doing on hydroxychloroquine. But first, here's the latest. As global coronavirus cases approach 1 million, a decades-old malaria therapy, hydroxychloroquine, now offers hope and raises concerns. Prescriptions have jumped, shortages followed, and some are accused of hoarding. The president shared his feeling that this drug has tremendous promise, and the FDA granted emergency use. But can hydroxychloroquine provide effective treatment of COVID-19? The studies are underway. Researchers who conducted a recently updated observational study in France reported hydroxychloroquine combined with azithromycin allowed patients to rapidly discharge from highly contagious wards because they were less contagious. But researchers in Shanghai reported disappointing results with CT scans showing little difference in disease progression with hydroxychloroquine over the already acceptable results they were achieving with other drugs. However, a new study of 62 pneumonia patients in Wuhan, China was encouraging. Patients who received hydroxychloroquine had 1 day less of coughing and fever. Their pneumonia improved in 81% of patients receiving the malaria pill, as opposed to only 55% in controls. All of these improvements were statistically significant, which makes doctors more comfortable acting on the results. The Chinese researchers also noticed that none of their lupus patients already taking hydroxychloroquine developed COVID-19, and none of their COVID-19 patients had lupus. This observation, paired with data showing that hydroxychloroquine is active against the COVID-19 virus in a laboratory setting, prompted researchers at my hospital, New York Presbyterian, and the University of Minnesota to start trials seeking to prevent illness in those recently exposed. Some say we shouldn't rush to treat before the larger U.S. clinical trials are complete in a few months. But for others, watching the death toll rise, if there is even a slim chance that hydroxychloroquine will save lives, now is the time to begin treatments.
So here's the deal. If you watch the whole thing, I'll put the links to this video below. It appears that this recommendation of which the president was comfortable in the beginning is showing promising results. As you go on with this video, there's other studies now being done that show that people who get on the Z-Pack prior to even getting the virus seem to build an immunity to be able to be infected. So I mean, and then two, now the other part I want to go to here is in relation to this here news thing that came out, One American News this morning, about the coronavirus, the most challenging crisis. This guy is talking about, how possibly much of what has been being said may have been exaggerated, and it's not, now results, and this is new, this is modern now, last minute information that's being released, that it appears things are not going to be as bad as what was being expected.
A leading British scientist is revising his predictions about the virus and now says the mortality rate is much lower than expected. Here's One America's Pearson Sharp.
While mainstream media is making daily claims about how deadly the coronavirus is, scientists are telling us the opposite. In fact, the doctor behind one of the most influential papers describing the virus's fatality rate is now saying he's much more optimistic about the chances for recovery. Neil Ferguson, a renowned epidemiologist of the Imperial College in London, created a model for the infection which was used by the government to impose a nationwide lockdown. Now, however, Ferguson says there's clear signs the precautions people are taking are already working, and there's a significant slowdown in the virus's progression. He says the number of new hospital admissions are way down, and there are signs of similar patterns in other European countries. Ferguson explains that up to 40% of people who get infected don't have any symptoms at all, which means the virus is much less dangerous than initially predicted. Based on the latest figures, he estimates that less than 20,000 people, but probably far fewer than that, will die from the virus in the UK, a big drop from his first prediction of 500,000. To put that in context, up to 13,000 people die from the regular flu in the UK every year.
Well, as you can hear there, things are a lot different than what they say. And what he just touched on in relation to mentioning about the flu, this is something I want to talk about. And as you can see right here, I got a graph, and myself and as well as hundreds of people in the last several weeks I've spoken to, and in the last couple days of who I've spoken to across the country in different states of people that I've had communication with, everyone is out doing their own layman term research into this, and they're all considering. Now, granted, we're not all experts in the field of viruses, bacteria, germs, and what have you, but we have common sense. And when you can look at statistics like this, and you see the rates of the flu, like here, last year in America, actually this is from the year 2017, 55,600 people died from the flu. This year alone, there's statistics I have that show from this year alone, in this year, current year, right now, near 40,000 people from November of last year till now, near 40,000 people have died from the flu. Now, this is what I want you to consider. We have a vaccine for the flu, and 40,000 people since last November to date has died from the flu. near something like 6.5 million people have been hospitalized since last November till now in America, just in America, for the flu. And hospitals aren't overwhelmed with that. And this happens every year. This happens every year. The average, the rate of death caused by the flu annually runs between 45,000 to 70,000. We've had years of worse where, like, in I believe it was 2004, 2005, which we didn't shut the country down, there was a pandemic with the flu that went around the world that resulted in millions of people dying from the flu. And right here in America, close to 170,000 people dying that one year from the flu, and we didn't shut the country down. And right now with the shutdown, it is devastating, like I said, to many businesses. And people are not stupid. They have the ability to do the research, and we're checking right now. On the coronavirus right now that's taking place in our country, we're seeing right now that we have, total cases of 302,000. New cases were 25,000. Total deaths were 8,243. And that's from the coronavirus here. In our country. We have total tests that have been done, 1.5, will average 1.5 million have been done on people here in the United States. The thing that is getting everybody is like I say, we have, numbers that just, like here, when we look at the causes of death in America, influenza, which is the flu and pneumonia, in last year killed 55,672 people. We didn't shut the country down because of that. And when we look here, like expectations of this year, we expect anywhere from 24,000 to 63,000 people to die from the flu this year. That's this year, okay? This is what we're expecting the flu to do, okay? And the coronavirus is nowhere near these numbers. But yet, for the flu, we are not shutting down our nation every year and killing our economy. With the progression of things that are going on, that it seems, which I think we're going to finish out and listen to this here report.
He estimates the virus will peak and then subside within the next 3 weeks. Other doctors at Oxford University agree, saying it appears that fewer than 1 in 1,000 people infected will be sick enough to go to the hospital. Even the UK government's chief medical advisor, Professor Chris Whitty, says that although the elderly are at a higher risk, the great majority of them will likely have very mild symptoms. Meanwhile, reports are showing that compared to the coronavirus, the common flu has had 12 times more hospitalizations this year alone, yet the mainstream media doesn't appear worried about that at all. This follows with research that shows the mortality rate from the coronavirus is much closer to 0.66%. As reported in The Lancet, when scientists in China adjusted the death rate to include patients who only suffered mild or no effects at all from the virus, people who were not counted before, the mortality rate turned out to be much lower than previously thought. Furthermore, the drug hydroxychloroquine is proving highly effective against the disease, with doctors and patients reporting successful treatments all over the country. Even staunch critics like Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who initially threatened to take action against doctors who prescribe the medication, can't get their hands on enough of the drug and are pleading with the federal government to send them more shipments of hydroxychloroquine.
So as you can see, things have changed since the initial scare of the coronavirus. And some of the statistics I've been looking at, and I have customers of mine that are doctors. I have retired doctors who are in their 80s. They remember old school medical. And I even have some who are active doctors right now here within the local hospitals between Pinellas, Pasco, and Hernando County that are customers of mine and I spoke to and asked their views and opinions on this and what was going on in the hospitals in the areas locally. And they say locally is as if nothing's going on. We don't really have a pandemic, it appears here. Pandemic just means worldwide, but we don't have it like a panic going on here. Anywhere from what I understand in Pinellas, Pasco, or Hernando County. And the people who are being reported or found to have it, like it's saying right here on this, most of them have mild symptoms. The people who we're being told are passing away, mind you too as well, the news is exaggerating this or pushing this in the sense to where we should be shocked, which most people probably would be shocked to find out, when you're talking like 7,000 to 8,000 people, that sounds a lot to the average person. But when you consider the fact, for instance, like they talk about with Italy, how many people died in a day. Well, let me tell you something. The truth with Italy, if you look at vital statistics, you'll find out every day, even before coronavirus, every day in Italy, 1,700 people die. That's the death rate in Italy. Okay, in the United States, it's up around 8,000, 10,000 a day. Okay, we're way above that because of the population differences, and we have and I know those numbers sound scary to people, but these are natural causes of death, and the majority of people dying from the coronavirus as well. Of what some statistics I believe I have recent current reporting showing on the coronavirus. If I have it here somewhere, was on the coronavirus here. On the statistics here shows that the majority of the people who suffered to the point that they passed away were in the age bracket between 68 to 80 years old. It's very elderly people, and as well now, a lot of reports are coming out, and it's being discovered that many of these people as well suffered from other elements. They were old, they had other health complications, and there's a very high likely chance that a large percentage of the people being reported of elderly that it said died from the coronavirus, or even some of the people now that are being said died from the coronavirus, in truth didn't die from the coronavirus. They may have had it, but the cause of the death might have been something that was already in progression that was killing them because of old age and just natural breakdown. So these things are being fear-mongered with the media and society. And what it's doing to the country right now, and this is the other thing I have to go back and I just want to touch on with you, President Trump, you need to consider. Like I say, I've been speaking with, this package is not going to help all the small businesses. And what you're doing is going to damage, and what our governor here is doing is going to damage the state and the nation very bad, and you're going to harm millions of people and cause millions and millions of people to lose their businesses because they're not going to be able to. With this long of a shutdown, it is not going to be many of them are not going to be, and they know it and they fear it. I see it, I hear it. I'm telling you right now, they are in fear for their future. And what you're playing with is their future, okay? Now, and I understand it's not you. Okay, you're doing the best you can, but the experts, none of us anymore believe that these experts are giving you proper guidance and advice. Their goal is to destroy you and this country, as it's always been. And most of them are looking at that that $2.4 trillion package you put out there. They want to get their hands on that money. They want to make this as worse as possible to ensure that they keep this going as long as possible to get more of that money. You as well as everybody knows that there is just people that are inhumane in this world, and greedy people fall among them. And within government, it has become probably very self-evident to you that many totally disgusting, evil, vile people exist in government, and as well in the medical industry and many other professions. I know, I've witnessed it, I've seen it. Greed is an ugly thing, and it attracts the most ugly of humanity. These people will do, and to them, this is all about what they can get. Okay, it's about the power they can maintain and the damage they can do. And we as a people are looking at this, and I'm telling you right now, you need to take a moment, because I think you're under maybe a lot of stress, because I know you're a very smart man. Okay, and I'm having a hard time with what I'm seeing going on and what I'm seeing you doing, but I can see in your eyes, I can see it and hear it in your voice. You're tired, and you also yourself, I can tell, you're questioning a lot of it. I think you need to take a break. 24 hours, get some rest. Get up. Don't go to any of them. Find yourself your space and think for yourself. Because I'm telling you, elderly people are scared. You have the public scared. You have people who are afraid that the businesses are going to go under and they're not going to have a job to go back to when this is done. Many businesses are already, and I'm talking to a lot of business owners, they know 30 days from now, as long as this shut, they can't. They will not. They'll be so backed up from the big leases they have with malls and places they have their pizzeria and their small mom and pop shops and their insurances and their cost of business, and they don't have the funds right now and to cover for the cost of their own living expenses, and they have to pay the inventory roll for the materials and things that they've already ordered that they had 30 days net on. People are going to be broke. Flat broke and lost with no ability to sustain. They're going to lose their livelihood, their businesses. And I imagine from thinking it's not just here in the Tri-County area where I'm at that I'm seeing this effect, and speaking with people across the country in different states that I'm associated with through the last more than several days, this is something going on everywhere across the country. You need to reconsider this. You need to start looking at the facts that are coming in now. You need to, for yourself, use that great wisdom you have and do the right thing for this country and lift this shutdown. And I would like to say to our governor of the state of Florida here, Ron DeSantis, I support you. I voted for you. And in your situation, there's one thing I notice about you that I know as well in speaking with other people. It's something that is a trait that we notice with people who are all their life government employed. You know, being government employed is kind of a spoiled position for people because no matter what happens in the country, you still get paid. When you're in the military, or you're, not so much all branches of military, not all people in the military, the soldiers and the frontliners, in which I understand you were one with the team you were with as a JAG, or I believe, or attorney for the SEAL team. And, I understand you, and I'm proud, and believe me, I'm not trying to take from you in any way what you've done for this country. But what you're doing now, I'm sorry, you have to understand, you lack the wisdom of the everyday American. You don't understand what it's like to actually have to depend on yourself to go out in this world every day and make that dollar and sustain that business and keep your livelihood and your family secure. You don't know what that's like. Your check shows up auto deposit every month, and for the majority of your life it has been because you work a job that the taxpayers pay to ensure that you are paid for what you do automatically. No matter what the condition of the economy, the state of things, affairs going on in the world, you're paid when you're a government employee. You don't suffer the consequences of layoffs and cutbacks and such like that in your pay. Your pay automatically shows up. There's a big difference between your lifestyle and the average American. Okay? And I'm not trying to in any way take away from you. I'm just saying to you, I know you're humble enough to get what I'm saying and rationalize the reality of accepting the truth that you may not be that wise to what I'm trying to say to you. You might not have the wisdom to understand. And accept the reality that it's not as easy as being in a position in office of the military or what have you, and you say, okay, we got to do this, okay, it's going to be this, it's going to be a 30-day shutdown, and, everything's fine because money keeps flowing from the taxpayers and nobody loses their pay. This is the real world, and out here, we got to go out and get our pay. We have to sustain our reputation. We have to sustain our business. We have to keep ourselves going. We have to be to the grindstone. We don't get a check automatic deposit every month from anybody. Our incomes and our money fluctuates up and down, day to day, week to week, month to month, season to season. Yours are strict fixed. You know what it is. It's going to be there no matter what. We don't have it like that out here. Business owners don't have it out there. And right now, with Florida, we're coming to the end of a season and going into a slow season. The Florida suffers businesses suffer. You're killing them during their time of where they build up their reserves for the coming slow slump of summer in the state. Now these people are burning reserves trying to survive that they're going to need for a much harder time to survive when the summer gets here, because it's a seasonable trend for businesses and money making in this state. And I know you probably have a basic knowledge of this, but you don't have real world true wisdom like those of us who deal with that on an annual basis, season to season, year to year, and have been. Okay, you don't understand the grind of what it is. And I'm telling you, if you don't lift this ban in this state, and the governor and the president doesn't lift this ban, you're destroying this nation. You're gonna harm way more. You think this virus and your fears of what this virus are doing. I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing right now in the face of men and women and business owners across 3 counties that I cover, and the hearing on the voice of people. Let me tell you, you're doing a lot more damage than you can imagine. And the effects of this are going to be long term. They're going to be long term. Okay? And I know the president understands, because he's mentioned about, the potential for what the ugliness that could happen from this, and people being depressed and losing faith and hope. And I'm telling you right now, Mr. President, people are there. People are there. You need to stop this. You need to get real. You need to rethink this. And you need to lift this ban and let America, let us the people. Because let me ask you, when you say in that comment this morning, you're going to go to Congress. Well, let me ask you, where is Congress going to get that money? Because I think you understand Congress, when you go to them, they come to us to ask for that money. And if we're not working and we don't have the money to give them, where are you going to get that money? Where are you going to get it? And the majority of the package you have right now, which I've read most of it already, I'm looking in and I can see, the majority of that money already has been so freaking bull, it's crap, okay? You're talking like not 2.8% is actually going to the people. 97% of that is going to goddamn local and state government to fund the overburdened, goddamn oversized government employed that they have to keep them afloat and going between state and local, more so than the people. Okay? This is ridiculous. Okay? And the government is going to suck that out. They don't give a damn about the average people. We're like, and I'm realizing right now, and a lot of people are, it's as if we're damn slaves here just to work and provide for them so they can have the peace and tranquility we all are supposed to be guaranteed. Okay? And I'm telling you, people are going to, I'm looking at stuff that, is really teetering the line here with things that are happening, like arresting pastors for having service. Look, let me tell you something. People need their faith and they need their trust in God. Okay, you can't arrest especially like I was watching a video. There's a guy who was out and they had the people, they were 10 feet apart, protesting an abortion clinic, and the cops are out there threatening to arrest these people. But the abortion clinic's open. So if you have a mandate of a shutdown and you allow this place to be open, then that place is open to the right of the people to protest in a peaceful way. That's a constitutional right. If you don't want people out there protesting the actions of an abortion clinic, then that abortion clinic should be ordered closed, like other businesses, if you're going to do this. But to have people out threatening to arrest them, but not arrest the people for having their business open, is ridiculous. Some of the things of which I hear within common sense, rational people. Home Depot, I go to Home Depot every day. It's packed with people. I go to the supermarket, it's packed with people. Okay? And the effects of what everybody's in fear of and what you've been being told obviously aren't happening. They're nowhere near happening. So I'm asking you to think about the American people, because I'm telling you, people aren't telling you, and you're not hearing it, because everybody's isolated. So nobody is making, and nobody's saying nothing online, because I'll tell you right now, the people I'm talking about, they're not online. They're sitting right now in white fear for their future, their life, their livelihood. They're thinking of their employees. They're stressed about the people that have helped them for the last decade, 2 decades, build their business and with them. And they're home too, scared, wondering, because they know the stress that the owner's under. And they know as well they're not stupid. People in certain hospitalities, they remember working for people who ran a slack business. And they know what happens to a business that's out of sight from the public for 45, 30 days. 30, 45 days, people forget it. Okay? And on the return to this, it's going to be a slow return. It's going to be a slow return. And I'm telling you, these people know the time of what you're talking is going to kill their business. It's going to kill it. And it's not right. It's not right. Because it's not just going to kill business. It's millions of businesses across this country, small mom and pop shops. You're going to kill businesses. It's going to harm millions and millions of Americans and their families. Their children are going to suffer. Their secondary related families are going to suffer. Their employees and their employees' families are going to suffer. This is going to be out of control if you don't stop this madness now. Because that's what it is, madness. When you look at the true statistics of what's going on, you look at the news to what's now being reported by the truth, you can see this is not even as bad as the flu. And we deal with the flu every year. And the flu has, like I say, 10 times, almost 15 times the effect of casualty to what this is having. And there's a damn vaccine for the flu. We have a vaccine for the flu. And there's still 10 times the effects of this. You got to use common sense. And you got to start thinking. I think you're exhausted, you're tired, you're off your game, Mr. President. You need to take a day, rest and sleep, get up clear-minded, put all them out of your mind, and use that wisdom you have. Because I know you know what I'm talking about. And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in the people. So I'm telling you, I see it. And I know I'm talking to people. And I'm telling you, it's not just isolated. It's everywhere. You're harming the nation. And things are going to boil over. And it's going to blow. It's going to blow. This is going to be unrecoverable. Okay, if you don't stop it now. I think right now, if you can lift that ban, it can be saved. But the rate we're going right now, with the panic. I'm telling you right now, people are eager. They want to. People so bad want it, but you know what? They can't because of the idiot governors and this idiot band. You got people who want to go out there and start their business back up and go to work because they're in fear of goddamn losing it, but they can't because you got the police out there threatening to arrest them if they do. You got police threatening to arrest customers if they come to their business. This is unheard of in this country. This is insanity. This is goddamn insanity. I can't believe you, Mr. Trump, have even done this on the basis unless there's something you're not telling us. Something of a greater threat to us that you're not telling us. And if that's the case, you need to be honest with the American people and tell us. But if there is no greater threat, and this is as it's starting to show up to be, you need to lift this ban and let us get back to goddamn work and doing what we as Americans do. And let us save our damn nation. Because Congress ain't giving us no money. Congress is coming to take our money from us to give a percentage of it back to us that they're going to charge us interest on. That's BS. That's not going to work. Because that's what you're doing. Okay, that money is not Congress's money. That's already our money. They're just going to come and lay a heavier burden of taxes on us to take the money from us to give back to us a percentage. What do you think, we're stupid? We're not stupid. So let's get some rationale about this. Let's look at this. And Mr. President, I'm just asking you to take some time to clear your mind because you're being played a fool by these people. I mean, granted, I'm not going to claim I'm as wise and smart as you are, or I know what you know. But collectively, with the people I'm speaking with, some of them are doctors, some of them are retired doctors. They were long-standing in the practices. And they're saying you're being made a fool of. You're being played for a fool. And I trust in many of these people. They're much wiser than me. Okay, you need to yourself step back and be who you are, because you're being puppeted as a fool. And right now, the nation is at risk. That's all I got to say. And I want people to understand, we all collectively need to take a pause and think about what we're allowing to happen in this country and what we're seeing right now and what's going on. Okay, we need to really take a pause because something's behind this. I don't believe this just naturally happened. Okay, something's behind this and we need to get to the bottom of that. But right now, we need to get this nation back to work. We need to lift these crazy bans. We need to get these crazy governors that don't understand what the hell they're doing, these power-drunk people under control, and we need Americans back out there doing what we do. Okay, we'll help each other. We will. The proper way of not a shutdown to this would have been to inform the elderly, stay within doors. Communities could have worked with them, gone over to them. Younger kids, we could have gone shopping and we could have done things with masks to drop off groceries for them to protect our own. We're the damn people. We know how to take care of ourselves. We've been doing it for 244 years. We know what we're doing in this country. Okay? We don't need the government babysitting us, especially this idiot government. Look at the corruption and the goddamn debt and the idiocy you people causing the problems you cause. And you're trying to tell us how to do things. You don't even know how to do your own thing. So get real. We're not buying it. I'm not referencing right now the new administration with Donald Trump. I'm talking about the long-standing government that has been here, like Nancy Pelosi and you people who have been here for 30, 40 years, and you keep talking about how you're going to do something, you're going to fix something. Well, you've been in there 30, 40 years, you ain't done nothing yet. You ain't done nothing right yet. All you have done is cause more and more problems. And every time you cause a problem, you keep turning around, and all you do is offer yourself as the goddamn solution to the very problem you cause. Ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. You people are idiots. Okay, but anyway, I'm just saying, we need to get this nation back to work. I'm just asking, and I'm putting a plea out to the president to consider the things I'm saying. Think about it. Look at the statistics and facts. Watch the Dr. Oz video this morning. Watch the videos, that are coming out about the studies being done right now. That was on here.
Pearson Sharp, One America News.
One American News.
Like this? Click on the link below.
These are new, recent, within current time, and I think you need to consider these things. So that's all I want to say. I hope everybody enjoys this video. Comment below, and if I hear more or I see more, I'll try and keep people up to date on what's going on. And God bless everybody. God bless America. God bless every true American. And let's all keep our head. Let's stay focused. We're Americans. We can do this. We've seen a lot worse in the history of this country. And I know if we don't get the people in charge to wake up to some common sense, and the president and the governors don't get their wits about them, things are only going to get worse. And eventually, I fear, the people are going to have to take matters in their own hands. And that's what it sounded like across this country. People are about ready to do, because it's just out of control. But I'm praying for the best. I'm praying for everybody. Anybody who has the coronavirus, I'm praying for you. And, I'm praying for our allies and people of like mind in this world with us who understand what we're all going through. And, I just pray that, common sense comes into play here and we get things going forward again, hopefully by the start of this coming week. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your time. Everybody have a great weekend.